I'm not a queen. And I'm not anywhere near royalty. So, who am I? I'm the Hot Process Peasant. Give me a chance, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. Thanks. Alright, today I'm going to start with how to prep your work area for Hot Process. And I get these little things, these little puppy pad. What I do is I use them on the floor beneath my work surface. They're pretty great. They work really well for any oversplash or any drips or anything you might have. And they have these little tabs that you can tear off and stick them right to your floor. That's the good part. This is the bad part. They work great. So great that you end up having to scrape the adhesive off. Okay, here's my workspace. I use freezer paper and I use it shiny side down. I just take the freezer paper and I go all the way to the edge of my counter, all the way to the other edge, and struggle to tear it. So I cut it. Everything looks great till you turn the camera on. I'm so safe that I even use safety scissors next to my emergency soap line foam. And I even go up the backsplash a little bit, just in case. And so then, once I get that in place, the paper, I just use regular old paper tape, and I tape it down just here and there. I just tape it down. And that way, it gives me a workspace that's sort of, you know, good for drips or anything like that. It won't go right through to my counter. And I'm famous for mica poofs everywhere, or charcoal going everywhere. So I keep the counters covered, especially with Hot Process, so that way nothing gets on it, and it's so easy to just pick up and scrunch out of the counter. I use the left side for before the cook, the right side after the cook. So everything that's on the left-hand side that goes into the hot oils, whether that be the lye or anything that you add before the cook, I just put it right into a 5-gallon bucket after I'm finished using it, or throw it directly away in the trash that I have ready. What I add to the oils once they're heated and melted and everything is I add the oatmeal, which is just ground up oatmeal. Now I have some ground up coconut in here too. It's ground just as fine as the oatmeal, and make sure it's not the way it is right now in clumps. And I add that to the oils with my stick blender. I also add sea salt, very finely ground. I mean, it's like just about airborne. It's really fine. And I add that to the oils. 1 teaspoon per pound. So I'm going to do a 4-pound batch today, and so each of these are 4 teaspoons. And I just hold it to that. I'm going to put it over here because that's before the cook. That I add to the oils and get that going before I add the lye water in. One other thing that I add before is the gel that comes off of cooking and then putting through a strainer the oatmeal, just whole oats, and I cook it, and I do 2 parts water to 1 part oatmeal, and I cook it until it's soft like baby food. And then what I do is I just empty the oatmeal into a strainer over my pitcher, and I just let gravity do its thing, and all of the gel that comes off of the cooked oatmeal goes into my pitcher, and then I just scrape the bottom of my strainer, and I never put any chunks of food, but it's really just the gel. So I only ever use the gel, and it's pretty thick, but it gives a nice smoothness and silkiness to the, if I don't spill it, to the soap, I think. After the cook, I put in honey and aloe. I mix it together and heat it up, and I always make sure it's under 175 so that it doesn't mess up the honey and turn it sort of into a burnt sugar smell. I always add sugar and aloe mixed together. And the honey is a tablespoon per pound. The sugar is a tablespoon per pound with just enough aloe to be able to mix it in. And then Greek yogurt, that's a tablespoon. So the only things I have that are tablespoons per pound is Greek yogurt, sugar, and honey. Everything else is going to be teaspoons. Those are the only tablespoon measurements that I have. What I have right here is some green powder. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. One of the other things I add is sodium lactate. I add that after the cook. And some people add it before, some people add it to the lye water. I just add it after the cook. And then in here I have dandelion root, and then I have green tea extract. Finish getting everything set up and get the crock pot and come back. So stick with me and we'll see how this goes. Here's what the oils look like before, the hard and the soft oils. There's castor oil, mango seed butter, lard, olive oil. Did I say olive oil? This is what it looks like before it is melted. And now I'm going to stick it in the heating element. I'm going to crank it on to high because I don't have time to goof around. And let it melt down and heat up, and then I'll show it to you again and we'll start adding stuff. So stick with me. It'll turn out to be something, I can guarantee that. Probably going to hear my husband and dog in the background because they're here and they help me. I always wear safety goggles, and I always wear a face shield when I'm measuring and mixing the lye. And I wear heavy-duty safety gloves for mixing the lye and pouring the lye, and it's saponified and everything. Then I change to the regular gloves that I use. I'll be switching them out, and you'll see the black ones and then you'll see the blue ones, but I will have the goggles and the face shield on all the way up until I am sure it's reached Vaseline stage and I'm ready to pour. So then I'll show you how that looks. Hang with me. Okay, Peasant's back here kicking the tripod. I'm going to go ahead and take the temperature of the oils in the crock pot, 163.9, and I've got my lye mixed up right here. I'm going to take a measurement. This is distilled water and aloe vera juice. That is my lye water, and I added the lye to the water. Stirred it until it all mixed up. Let me take a temperature read on that. That's 195.1. My lye is pretty hot, but it was 205 just a minute ago, so it's cooling down. I'm going to set it to the side. Before I add the lye water, what I'm going to do is add the things that go in to the oils. The sea salt, I'm going to add that to the oils. Ordinarily I wouldn't use plastic cups, but I figured that I would do that so that you could see. You know, ordinarily I have little dishes that I use to measure these things out into, and so I'm gonna get the bubbles out from under my stick blender, my El Cheapo stick blender, and add the salt first. Get that mixed in, dissolved. Give it a couple of bursts. And I just buy regular sea salt from the store. A lot of times I try to find it on sale and just bring it home and grind it up. And that's what I do with the oatmeal as well. I just buy the cheapest whole oats and then grind it to a fine mist in a bullet type grinder, and that works really well. I don't feel a whole lot of grit along the bottom as I'm just stirring it, so I'm going to go ahead and add the oatmeal that I have a little bit of ground coconut to. I really don't feel it, but I just like the idea that it's not scratchy or anything like that. It's not an exfoliant like add a bunch of poppy seed. Okay, so I've got the oatmeal and the coconut in there, and it feels pretty smooth. I'm just stirring it around. Probably add my lye now, 168.9, and now let's check the lye water. Let's see, 185.9. And I'll tell you, the scariest part of the lye is not doing it in safety. That's the only thing that's scary, because if you do it in safety with good gloves and a face shield, goggles, and long sleeves, you know, if you're very careful and you follow all the safety rules, then there's really nothing to be afraid of. It's not as scary as you think it is, but it just feels like it until you actually do it. That's why you gotta just try it, and try a small batch, and that way you don't spend a whole lot. See how you like it. So I'm gonna get this stuff moved around a little bit and then show you how that goes in and how quickly that comes to trace. Hang in there. Okay, tried to get you a little bit closer so that you could see. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the lye. And it's all dissolved and behaving itself. So I'm going to try to pour it very carefully in here. Got my shield down. I don't like this part, I tell you. That's true, I don't. Alright, we've almost got it in. And I can feel that heat. I can feel the steam coming off of it. So, you know, if you take things in and out of the oven, shoot, you know, cookies bake at, you know, 350, 375. This is under 200, so it's really not hot when you think about it that way. But you do have to be careful, because you don't want to burn yourself or anything, and it is, you know, a chemical burn if that happens. But it's a matter of just being careful. That's all. Just following the regular safety, and that's it. So I'm going to stir it around, and then I'm going to pulse it a few times, and it's going to come to trace, which is super thick. That's going to happen real quick. You can see that that's already, you know, thick. So I'm going to blast it now. I'm going to really get it going. I usually do it to a pretty stinking thick trace, but I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to stop right here. It's pretty thick, but it's not as thick as I usually do it. And there's a chance that it could either volcano, which is where it just starts bubbling up and all of the trapped heat comes up, and that could happen. And if that does happen, then you just immediately start stirring it down. So I'm going to set this on my left, because the left side is before it's cooked. When there's active lye, everything on the left is before. Try to get it to unstick. It sticks so well to itself. I got to be able to watch this. I'm going to cover it with this plastic and kind of seal it good around the edges. And I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and we'll see what happens. Alright, stick with me and we'll give it 5 minutes and see what happens to it. Okay, well, you may have figured, hey, what about that oatmeal she was talking about? Yeah, that's exactly right. What about it? It's still sitting here, because do you think I put it in when I said I was... Oh, that's great. Look at that. Well, see, this can happen too. Alright, this is going to be the first batch ever without the oatmeal that it took me a long time to make. That's alright. At least it's cooking. Alright. But I'm not happy. I'm not. Doggone it. Alright. Alright. We are missing one ingredient, but it's still going to be good. And I have an idea. So, I'm going to let this finish cooking, because I can't add my oatmeal goo now because I've waited too long. So, we're going to let this cook, and we'll see how big of a mistake the peasant can make. Ooh, I'm a poet. Okay, you're probably not going to believe this, but I'm probably crazy for doing this, but when I looked down, still being mad about the oatmeal gook that I was going to put in, I realized, hey, you didn't put the tea in either. Now that had to go in. So, you know, I just figured, okay, here we go. I had some green tea, very strong green tea, and very strong chamomile tea. And it needed to go in here. Yeah, it sure as heck did. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to break this up, and I'm going to put the tea in, because it has to go in. And now here goes my oatmeal gook. So, here's the I've never had this many screw-ups, to be honest with you. But that's okay, because you know what? I learn something every time I make soap. This learning lesson for me is, hey, you know what? Everybody can mess up, but you can save it. You can still make something out of it. So it's kind of, soap is like life, you know? When it gets too hot, you gotta sometimes just try to see what you can do about it and see what comes out of it. Right now it looks like I'm getting total separation, and that can happen on a good day when everything's going right and you put everything in the right order at the right time, and man, you're just you know, firing on all cylinders. You're doing great. And there goes our timer for 5 minutes. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get this to come back together. I've had it separate before. I'm no stranger to this. The part I just can't believe is I've never really forgotten. A couple of times I've forgotten the fragrance oils at the very end, and I had to divide them and add them after I already had them into colors and everything. That was a big drag, and I did that 2 times in a row. I said, I'm not gonna forget that. What do you think I did? Forgot it. So, but most things you can absolutely save. And the reason why I'm going up and down and pulsing it like this is because when you get a total separation where it looks like the oil is sitting on top of, well, if you've ever made gravy, I'm from the South, so, you know, I've made gravy and had this happen. Gravy will do this to you. It'll get, you know, chunky and clunky at the bottom, and your oil is sitting up top, wondering what it's supposed to be doing with itself. Well, that happens. So I'm using the stick blender to try to bring it back together. And this is a real test for the stick blender, because they don't like this, especially the El Cheapos like the Peasant has. They probably paid me to take it. That's how cheap it was. So I ought to just be thankful that it's still chugging along. And so I'm going to keep doing this, see if I can get it to come back together, and I will bring you back and let you see what it looks like after that's happened. So just hang in there with me. This isn't a total loss. We'll see what we can do with it. So hang in there. Okay, it's been a minute since I left you, and I am taking my whisk, and I'm going to give my stick blender a break. And I am going to whisk the living daylights out of this soap. And it's going to build up heat doing this. The longer I whisk, the faster I whisk, the more it's going to build up heat. My crock pot is set on keep warm, by the way. I put it on hot to melt all of those hard oils down. But once they were melted, I immediately switched it to warm. This is a Hamilton Beach crock pot. Oh, I don't know what size, but this is going to be a 4-pound soap. So, you know, it holds a pretty good bit. I could make 5 pounds in here if I wanted to, which probably I will at some point. Maybe even 6. We'll see. We'll just push it, you know. We're already winging it about as much as a person can wing it today. So I'm just going to whisk this. That it is probably, it's all back together, so that's good, but it's probably going to volcano in all likelihood. I'm putting it on my left side. My whisk is going on my left because we're still not there yet. We are not finished, but it's not far off. And there goes my lovely, I do have a lid for this thing, by the way, but this is, you know, okay, alright. I'm sort of getting it. Sort of. Kind of, sort of. Okay, there we go. Now I got it covered. Alright, I have to watch it. You have to watch it like a newborn baby, because it's either going to go to the Vaseline stage, which it looks like it's kind of doing. I'm going to cross my fingers. And so if it completely cooks like that, then that'll be good. That'll be super good, but it could volcano again. So I'm going to say, let's see, I'm going to zero out my timer, and then I'm going to put it on for 3 minutes, and let's see what 3 minutes does. Hang with me and we'll see what happens in 3 minutes. Okay, it's been 3 more minutes, and see about where we are. Pretty Vaseline-y, but it also looks like it maybe was wanting to volcano too. You got to get in there and stir it, I guess, and kind of see what's going on, get around the edges. And it's cooking. It's definitely cooking. It was darker on top. It's lighter underneath. Stir it. Even though it looks like it's mostly Vaseline, I'm going to give it a good old stir because I want to make sure once that total chemical change has taken place, it's cooked. It's done. There's no waiting time. There's no curing. If you want to let them sit for a while, that's fine. You can let them sit. And the reason why you would let them sit is just simply to let the liquid evaporate, because I am going to add the liquid back in. I did a water discount at the beginning, and I only added as much liquid as my lye needed to dissolve. I'm going to make sure that's scraped down good, because I hate all those crispies on the side that you get from cooked dried soap. So I try to avoid that by getting as much back down in there as I can. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this off. I'm going to cover this up, keep the moisture in it. I'm going to take it out of the heating element, and then we'll just be working with just the crockery part. And so hang with me, and we'll come back and look at it. Alright, here I am, and I'm now in the blue gloves because the soap is cooked. And it looks very different from before. It looked like a really thick butterscotch pudding, and now it looks, I don't know what it looks like. They call it Vaseline stage because you can almost hear this crackle when you stir it, because it's very, it's waxy. It's just waxy. That's the only way I can describe it. I did not say before what was in this cup. It wasn't labeled. It is a superfood powder. It has no sugar or starches or anything like that, but it does have organic wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa, spinach, spirulina. There's organic in front of every single thing in here, but I'm not going to add that yet. I'm going to add all of my liquid stuff first, and I'm going to whisk it in. And I've got it warmed up. So first I'm going to add, this is beet juice, and it has 1 beet, 1½ carrots, 2 oranges, 1 lime, and 1 teaspoon of good stuff in there. And I also have a little bit of rice milk in there. Yeah, see, it's pretty stinking thick. You wouldn't want to try to layer or think you could get any swirls out of this, right? Well, you wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to do that. You have to add the liquid back in. So I didn't put it all in at the beginning. I'm going to start adding this now, and this is hot, and I don't want it to seize up. Anyway, all of these things will help to cool it off some. So let me get the rest of this beet juice in here and hang with me, and I'll show you the other goodies that I add. Alright. This is the sugar and aloe vera, and it's also been warmed up. The honey and aloe, if it's under 175 degrees, 166.4, so we can go ahead and add that. I like to use it. Shoot, honey's good for everything. You put honey on a rock and the rock would start smiling. So, and the aloe vera juice. So you put them together and you just get some really good junk in your soap there. See, it's even thinner than it was before. It's hard to tell because it goes right through the whisk, but if it were thick, it'd be sticking to the whisk. So that's how you know. And I'm going to add sodium lactate because, along with the sea salt, it helps to harden your bar. Even though I do let the cut bars sit for weeks, for a few weeks, I use whatever is left. I try to get as much out as I can, but whatever's left, I'm scratching the bottom trying to get to it to make enough for a tester bar for me right away. Alright, I'm going to add the super fat, mango butter, apricot kernel oil, avocado oil, and I'm going to add some tamanu oil. And man, this stuff smells awful. It's disgusting. But you know what? We're going to cover that with fragrance. And honestly, once you add it in, you can't smell it. It's I don't know why I keep smelling it, because it's so gross. But it is so good for your skin. There we go. Alright, so we're going to put just enough in there to help. And I'm going to put the super fat with all of that in there. you know, foods and fruits and stuff that you think, man, that's absolutely disgusting. And yet it's so good for you, or it smells disgusting but it tastes good. And so this is one of those things. You're just gonna have to trust me. It's worth it. For what it does for your skin, it's worth it to use it. So you won't smell it. So I'm smelling it right now. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, which is Greek yogurt. So it's 4 tablespoons. And I gotta whisk it in really super well, because this stuff will turn into chunks that's like you added cottage cheese or something to your soap. Whatever Greek yogurt does. I don't eat it. I soap with it, but I don't eat it. I don't think you can hold me down and make me eat yogurt, but I do use it in the soaps, and I'll tell you, it's nice. Then, well, let me scrape it down, because I'm funny about that. I can't stand all those crispies on the side. Oh great. Okay, well, you're going to get to see the appearance of the lid, because I just tore the plastic. So, cover it. And I'm going to wait 5 minutes and just think about things and make sure it loosens up. So hang in there. We're almost there. It's been 5 minutes. I'm going to add some green tea extract. What's it called? It's right. I mixed the colors with it. Oh, glycerin. There we go. I may mix this with some heated up glycerin. This is green tea fragrance oil, and it is from Bulk Apothecary. And from Soap Goods, we have cherry mango. I gotta make sure that I add it before I do anything else, because I will forget. I decided to use the burgundy pigment from Brambleberry. So I like their products, and I'm also using their green chrome oxide pigment from Brambleberry. So I thought that would be a good green. And from Wholesale Supplies Plus, I am using the Adobe Orange mica powder. All 3 of these, I used some warmed up glycerin, and then I mixed them in. I went ahead and pre-mixed them. And I'm going to be adding some of the natural batter that's scented, don't let me forget. Adding that to these colors to try to do a really neat design for you. I hope I'm able to do that. Alright, hang in there. Okay, so I'm going to add the cherry mango first. Alright, here goes the green tea. And it smells really good too. The fragrance sticks in Hot Process really, really well. Here's my homemade mold. Well, I lined it with parchment paper. I've got the base here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of the base color in. Get it in there. I am so inspired by Valerie from Shellbrook Handcrafted Soaps on YouTube. She's just so amazing. Such a nice lady, and is so helpful to share and answer everybody's question and problem. And I don't have all the answers for sure. She admits she doesn't either, but she tries to find out, and she just wants to help everybody. My colors sitting in a skillet of hot water, and it's on low like that. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to pour it right on top of the green. See, that's pretty fluid. It's really not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to have to come back with the burgundy. I'm going to have to heat that too. So hang tight. Here's the burgundy. Alright, wish me luck. Hang in there. Not my finest hour, for sure. Every bit of it. That's my husband laughing. Don't know if he's laughing at me. I'd feel like laughing if it's soap. It's not, okay, it's pretty important to me. Aha! Soaps are kind of my babies, because it's nice and fluid, and hopefully it will encourage the natural batter to please loosen up. That's for sure. Okay, I'm going to go right down here with this red. It actually looks like purple, but that's all right with me. Okay, all right, now I'm going to put this right next to it, down the middle. Now see, this one is just behaving nicely. I guess I better bang it, huh? This skewer. And I'm going to try and do something with the top that is so darn thick. What really everybody always wants to see is what's inside, and you know what? Do I dare stick this in there? It's probably going to mess up the whole thing. I'm going to get the thinner one. Okay, my homemade hillbilly hammer. Let me get this up and down, up and down, up and down, and through and up and down. This looks so bad. So bad, it isn't even funny. And I might cut this top off. Okay, the gloves are coming off. This is serious business. I'm going to put it in the freezer. It's not even freezer worthy, but I may. But I'll come back and show you what it looks like cut. Hang in there with me. Here it is. The wretched looking top. It's terrible looking. I can admit that. I'm big enough to admit it. The sides, I can see where there's some holes. Making air holes. We'll see. That doesn't bother me quite as much as knowing what the inside looks like and whether or not it's going to stick together. And I'm going to cut this top off. I'm going to put it in my homemade peasant soap cutter. What that's going to be like. Okay, I'm going to do that. I have a terrible habit of accidentally making soap that looks like food and not good food. Like, oh, that turned out looking just like a freshly cut avocado or something like that. No, it turns out looking really awful. Something as if, you know, you went to a family reunion and your Aunt Kissy brought some kind of disgusting salad. What is that? Well, that's not bad. This is really a big bar, so what I may do is cut it thicker, take off the top, and cut it in half. Let's see about my idea. A thicker bar. I'm sorry about that annoying clicking sound that I'm sure you can hear because I can hear it too. But I like that because you can see the burgundy purple and you can see the green and you can see the kind of orange coral color. The soap ingredients are really super good, and so that's what I care about than how it looks, although I do really care how it looks. I want it to look nice and I want it to turn out kind of neat. You can buy, you know, a decorative soap from the store. In the 80s, people used to have soaps in their bathroom that you couldn't use because, and you just knew it. You just knew instinctively not to use them because they were shaped like shells or they were shaped like, you know, something that you just knew that was for looks. I kind of like the idea of a soap being both for looks and also being a really terrific soap to use. We shall see. So who am I? I'm the Hot Process. Whatever the other word is.